Let me emphasize that the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir has been, is and will always be an integral and inalienable part of India. The people of Jammu and Kashmir exercise their fundamental rights in accordance with India's time-tested democratic traditions and constitutional framework. We of course know that these are concepts alien to Pakistan. We call upon Pakistan to end the grave and ongoing human rights violations in the areas illegally occupied by it, where the population is in open revolt against Pakistan's military occupation, repression, brutality, and illegal exploitation of resources. Member states must rise beyond their narrow political considerations and realize that the UN is not a theater for divisive politics and parochial purposes. In a world fractured and fragmented along multiple fault lines, the United Nations as the largest multilateral body is the only vehicle that we possess to harness our collective energies for global public good. Let us not weaken it deliberately or allow it to wither, but nurture it purposefully and harvest its fruits for the good of humanity. The theme of this debate gains great salience at a time when the world's largest multilateral organization, the United Nations, faces questions related to relevance, legitimacy, credibility, and efficacy. This organization was founded in the aftermath of the Second World War as a beacon of hope for international peace and security. It advanced decolonization. It has been instrumental in the emergence of new nation states in the global south. It drew up ambitious markers for economic growth and social development and prosperity. It focused our minds on global challenges such as pandemics, countering terrorism, and climate change. The UN is the only organization with universal membership and mandates covering all aspects of human endeavor. In becoming all things for all people, it has, however, lost its unique identity and foundational focus. Milestones are usually launch pads for organizational review and revamp to face the future with renewed vigor. Yet the high-level week of the General Assembly last month essentially was an inward-looking exercise. How to deal with shrinking resources and bureaucratic restructuring. The time has come to go beyond pennies and posts and craft a new vision for the future of the UN. The global challenges we face, from pandemics to terrorism and economic instability to climate change, are interconnected and transcend national borders. We need more cooperation transcending the competitive aspects of international politics. Madam President, in this backdrop, I would like to make the following points. First, the world associates the UN with maintenance of international peace and security. Citizens across the globe evaluate the UN on the basis of its ability to meaningfully intervene in and contain conflicts and prevent their recurrence. As the principal organ of the UN Security Council is primarily responsible for this important task. An outdated council architecture that mirrors geopolitical realities of 1945 is not equipped to handle the challenges of 2025. The existing 80-year-old framework needs an immediate and fundamental overhaul. Postponing it indefinitely, playing on procedure and process, does immense disservice to our citizens, especially in the global south. Council reform must include expansion in both permanent and non-permanent categories and must be carried out through text-based negotiations conducted in a time-bound framework. Second, the global south needs greater representation and say in all UN organs and processes. This bloc of countries represents the overwhelming proportion of humanity and has its unique set of challenges, particularly in the areas of development, climate, and financing. Global decision-making structures need to be more democratic and inclusive so as to respond effectively to the needs of the global south. Third, international cooperation is increasingly being seen as charity. Well-being is increasingly being seen in narrow national terms, and prosperity is increasingly being ring-fenced amid shrinking access to resources and technologies that are necessary for growth and fulfilling the aspirations of citizens from the global south. An approach that doesn't perceive progress and prosperity in universal terms is neither sustainable nor tenable in moral terms and on a practical basis. Fourth, UN mechanisms must be more agile. For instance, UN peacekeepers are facing newer challenges every day. Meaningfully discharging their entire spectrum of responsibilities calls for realistic mandates that are based on inputs from troop contributing countries, providing resources commensurate with the mandate, infusion of technology, building of capacities, etc. Such reforms are warranted across UN organs and mechanisms. Fifth, UN80 must go beyond budget rationalization and streamlining of human resources. Structural adjustments of different UN bodies are welcome but not enough. UN80 must be far more ambitious in nature, aimed at realizing real comprehensive reforms of the UN and its principal organs, and positing a vision for the future. Sixth, the General Assembly is a principal, deliberative, and policy-making organ of the UN. The scope and potential of this democratic body needs to be fully leveraged as in the past. The GA needs to be revitalized in order to make it more effective and purposeful. It needs to have greater cooperation and coordination with other UN organs, particularly the Security Council. This would enable member states to realize the purposes and principles of the UN Charter by building upon synergies among different UN organs. Seventh, member states must rise beyond their narrow political considerations and realize that the UN is not a theater for divisive politics and parochial purposes. In a world fractured and fragmented along multiple fault lines, the United Nations as the largest multilateral body is the only vehicle that we possess to harness our collective energies for global public good. Let us not weaken it deliberately or allow it to wither, but nurture it purposefully and harvest its fruits for the good of humanity. Madam President, finally, I refer to the statement of the representative of Pakistan. Let me emphasize that the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir has been, is, and will always be an integral and inalienable part of India. The people of Jammu and Kashmir exercise their fundamental rights in accordance with India's time-tested democratic traditions and constitutional framework. We, of course, know that these are concepts alien to Pakistan. We call upon Pakistan to end the grave and ongoing human rights violations in the areas illegally occupied by it, where the population is in open revolt against Pakistan's military occupation, repression, brutality, and illegal exploitation of resources. Madam President, we see the world as one family, a vision enshrined in our civilizational ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is not only an outlook that anchors our worldview, but also the reason why India has consistently advocated for justice, dignity, opportunity, and prosperity for all societies and peoples. It's also the reason why India places its faith in multilateralism, international partnerships, and cooperation. India has always stood with our brothers and sisters from the global south and will continue to help with our expertise and long-standing experience across all domains. I urge all member states to come together and join hands towards realizing this vision for making the UN fit for purpose for the new era. I thank you, Madam President.